My ex used my credit cards while I paid her rent, so I took her car and left. Now she's begging for forgiveness. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I used to think love meant giving everything you have literally when I met Sophie. She was this radiant, chaotic kind of beautiful. The kind of woman who made you feel like the world was louder and softer at the same time. She was a struggling artist, living off commissions and coffee shop tips, while I worked a stable 9-to-5 at a logistics firm. I wasn't rich, but I was steady. She used to joke that I was the responsible one and she was the dreamer. I liked that dynamic kit. Made me feel needed at first. Helping her out seemed natural. I'd bring over groceries, cover her internet bill when she forgot, and slip her $20 for paint supplies. She'd thank me with a kiss and say, "I'll pay you back when my next project lands." It never did, but I didn't care. I told myself that's what love was, supporting someone until they could stand on their own. Her apartment was small and messy, always smelling faintly of acrylic paint and cinnamon candles. She'd sit cross-legged on the floor, sketching while I handled dinner or fixed something around her place. I felt like I was building something real, our future. Every late night talk about dreams, every shared takeout meal, it all felt like an investment in us. Sometimes my friends teased me, saying I was too generous, but Sophie always had a way of making me feel like her protector. "You're the only one who's ever really believed in me," she'd whisper, her voice soft against my shoulder. And that's all it took to keep me hooked, to keep giving. Then one evening, as we sat together budgeting rent, she looked up from her notebook and said casually, "You know, maybe it'd be easier if I had access to your credit card, just for emergencies." I remember hesitating for only a second. That tiny pause would later haunt me. At first I told myself it was no big deal. Sophie having my credit card was just another sign of trust, something couples did when they were serious. She promised to use it only if absolutely necessary, and I wanted to believe her. The first charge was small, $42 at a local grocery store. Then a few days later, $89 at a salon I'd never heard of. When I asked her, she laughed and said, "Babe, I just got my hair trimmed. You love when I look good, don't you?" And she kissed me, soft and sweet, as if her affection could erase the unease in my gut. Soon, the purchases grew bolder. Designer makeup, restaurant bills, random online orders that arrived at her door in sleek boxes she called gifts for herself. Every time I brought it up, she had a reason ready. "I'll pay you back when my next art sale goes through. It's just temporary. Don't you trust me?" Those last words, "don't you trust me always," hit me like a punch to the chest. Because I did, blindly, and I didn't want to be the boyfriend who made her feel controlled or unappreciated. So I swallowed my doubts and worked longer hours, convincing myself it would balance out eventually. One night, I came home exhausted, only to find Sophie in the living room surrounded by shopping bags. She smiled like a kid on Christmas. "Guess what? I got us a new coffee machine. It was on sale." I tried to smile, but my stomach twisted. I started noticing a pattern every time I got uncomfortable. She'd distract me with affection, a promise, or a guilt trip about how hard her life had been before me. I told myself I was helping her grow, helping her find her footing. But deep down, I was starting to feel like something precious, something I couldn't name, was slowly being taken from me. It didn't happen all at once. It was slow, like quicksand. Every month, Sophie found new ways to make me feel like questioning her meant I didn't love her enough. I remember one night vividly. I came home after a 12-hour shift, eyes heavy, brain fried, and found Sophie scrolling through her laptop. She looked up and smiled. "Hey, babe. I paid the electric bill for you used your card." "You're welcome." I blinked. "You paid it for me? That's it." "My bill," she shrugged, like it was nothing. "Yeah, but I saved you the hassle. I'm just trying to help. You're always so stressed about money." Her tone flipped so fast it stunned me, one second cheerful, the next wounded. "Do you even want me to help? Or do you just like holding all the power?" That's how it started, turning everything around until I was the one apologizing. Soon she was handling all the bills. She said it would make things easier, that she could balance things out since I was too busy. It sounded supportive, but every time I looked at my statements, new charges appeared. Spa days, concert tickets, a new phone. When I tried to talk about it, she sighed and said, "You're so uptight. I thought we were partners." My friends started noticing the toll. One night over beers, my friend Derek said quietly, "Man, you look drained." You sure she's not bleeding you dry?" I laughed it off, but his words stuck. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, telling myself I was doing the right thing, that love sometimes looked messy, that supporting someone meant sacrifice. But the truth was, my savings were evaporating. My credit cards were almost maxed, and I didn't even know what was mine anymore. The final blow came one afternoon when my phone buzzed with a message from my bank, a fraud alert for a card I hadn't used in weeks, and that's when the pit in my stomach turned into real fear. When the bank called, I thought it was a mistake. The woman on the line said, "Sir, we're detecting unusual activity on your account, several high-value purchases, and a pending charge for a luxury resort." My throat went dry. I hadn't bought anything beyond gas and groceries in weeks. After we hung up, I logged into my credit statements. Page after page, it felt like watching my life drain in real-time. Designer brands, hotel bookings, online boutiques, spa memberships. Some charges were under her name, others under mine. My jaw locked as I scrolled, heart pounding in my ears. When Sophie came home that night, I was sitting at the kitchen table, the statements spread out like evidence in a crime scene. "Can you explain this?" I asked, voice shaking. She froze for a second, then tilted her head. "You're seriously going through my purchases now?" "Wow, controlling much?" "This isn't about control," I snapped. "You've spent thousands of thousands, Sophie. What the hell were you thinking?" Her tone turned icy. "You told me I could use the card. And maybe if you weren't so obsessed with money, you'd understand that I deserve to enjoy life a little." I couldn't believe Ichi was angry at me. "You lied," I said quietly. "This isn't love. This is theft." She rolled her eyes, muttering something about how I was overreacting, and how every couple goes through financial stuff. Then she added, with that cutting little smirk, "If you loved me, you'd understand why I did it." Those words landed like a blade. I just sat there, staring at the woman I thought I knew, realizing how far gone we were. That night, I couldn't sleep. The sound of her breathing next to me felt like betrayal itself, steady, careless, and terrifyingly calm. And for the first time, I started to wonder how much she'd really taken, not just from my wallet, but from me. The morning after that argument, I left early for work just to get away from her. My chest felt heavy the entire day, and no matter how many spreadsheets I stared at, I couldn't stop replaying her words. "If you loved me, you'd understand why I did it." It looped in my head like static, eroding every ounce of trust I'd built by the time I got home. She was acting like nothing had happened. She'd cooked dinner, lit candles, even played soft music. "I made your favorite," she said with that same innocent smile. I sat across from her, watching her fork food onto her plate, completely unbothered. "Sophie," I said slowly, "we need to talk about the money." She sighed loudly, setting her fork down with a clatter. "Again, God, you're obsessed with this. You think I'm some gold digger, don't you?" I didn't answer. I just stared at her. The silence made her fidget. "You know what your problem is?" she said, leaning back. "You think being generous gives you control. Maybe I spend money, but at least I live." I stood up quietly, walked to my room, and shut the door. For the first time, I locked it. That night, while she watched TV in the living room, I sat on my bed, scrolling through old text messages. Her promises to pay me back, her apologies, her it was all there like breadcrumbs leading to my own stupidity. Then, as if fate wanted to twist the knife, I overheard her laughing on the phone. "Yeah, he still has no clue. I swear, it's like having my own personal ATM." My hands started shaking. My chest felt like it might cave in. I didn't storm out, didn't yell just sat there in the dark, realizing the truth. The woman I thought I loved wasn't using my money. She was using me. The next few days were a blur of silence. I stopped engaging, stopped offering, stopped pretending we were fine. Sophie noticed the shift. Instantly she'd test me with sweet gestures, cooked breakfasts, casual touches, but I was too numb to play along. Then, out of nowhere, she said, "I'm going away this weekend. A little retreat for artists. I need to clear my head." Her tone was light, but something in her eyes didn't match. I nodded and said nothing. That Friday, she left with a suitcase and a breezy kiss on my cheek. "Don't wait up," she laughed. I told myself to let it go, to just breathe and maybe enjoy a few days of peace. But by Saturday night, my curiosity got the better of me. I opened social media. And there she was, Sophie, smiling in a luxury resort pool, champagne glass in hand, arm around a man I'd never seen before. The caption read, "Sometimes you need to let someone else take care of you for a change." It felt like the air left my lungs. I clicked through photo after photo her at fancy dinners, on a yacht, in designer clothes I recognized from the credit card statements. My stomach churned as I realized every single moment of that trip was funded by me. I didn't call her, didn't text. I just stared at those images until my hands stopped shaking. Then something inside me shifted, not anger, not heartbreak, just clarity. For months, I'd been trying to fix something that wasn't broken. It was rotted. She'd never loved me. She loved what I could give her. That night, I made a decision. I opened my laptop, changed every password, canceled every card, and contacted my bank. I didn't care about the money anymore. I wanted my freedom. By the time she came home, I'd be gone, and she'd finally learn what it felt like to lose something she thought she owned. The moment I saw those pictures, something cold and focused took over. The heartbreak dulled, replaced by a kind of precision I'd never felt before. If Sophie could lie so effortlessly, I could vanish just as easily. I started planning, quietly, methodically. Every bill, every card, every connection between us. I unraveled them one by one. I called the bank first, explained the fraudulent charges, and began the process of filing disputes. They asked if I suspected someone close. I almost laughed. "Yeah," I said softly, "someone very close." Next, I checked the lease. My name wasn't on it, it was hers. She'd begged me not to complicate things when she renewed it, saying it was just easier this way. I realized then she'd built her whole comfort zone around my blind trust. Then came the car, the sleek, used Audi she loved driving around, claiming she'd helped pay for it. But when I pulled out the paperwork, the truth was right there. The title was under my name, my down payment, my signature, my car. I spent the next day quietly packing my belongings into boxes, taking only what I owned: clothes, laptop, a few keepsakes, and the car keys. I deleted her fingerprint from the car's lock system and changed the PIN. Every move felt deliberate, almost surgical by the time Sunday night rolled around. The apartment looked untouched except for the empty drawers where my things used to be. I left her a note on the kitchen counter that simply said, "You wanted freedom. So do I." Before I walked out, I stood for a moment, staring at the dimly lit living room where we'd once shared takeout dinners and hollow laughter. It didn't even feel like a home anymore, just a stage where I'd played the fool. When I closed that door behind me, it didn't creak. It clicked, like something final. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the my car outside her apartment, the engine running softly as the city hummed around me. Every instinct screamed that I should feel guilty, that I should turn back, but all I felt was an eerie calm. For the first time in months, I wasn't anxious about the next bill or the next fight. I was free. Before driving off, I checked my phone one last time. Dozens of unread messages from Sophie selfies, heart emojis, little reminders to miss her while she's gone. I deleted them all. Then, with a deep breath, I shifted into drive and pulled away. I didn't go far. I stayed with my friend Derek, the same guy who'd warned me months ago. When he opened the door and saw the packed boxes in my arms, his expression said everything. "She finally pushed you too far, huh?" I just nodded. "I'm done." Over the next few days, I moved quietly. I transferred my remaining funds to a new account, called the credit companies, to freeze her access, and informed the landlord that I no longer lived there. Since her name was on the lease, every responsibility from rent to utilities was now hers by the time Sophie returned from her retreat. I was 2 cities away. My phone buzzed, nonstop calls, texts, voicemails. At first, her tone was playful. "Babe, where are you? You're gonna freak when you see my surprise." Then came confusion. Then anger. "Where's the car?" One message read, "You can't just take it. That's illegal." I stared at that message for a long time, then typed back a single line. "Check the registration. Sophie." I hit send and turned off my phone. For the first time since meeting her, the silence felt like peace, heavy, real, and completely mine. By Monday morning, Sophie had gone nuclear. I turned my phone back on briefly, just long enough to see the explosion. Dozens of missed calls, frantic voicemails, and a flood of texts ranging from heartbreak to fury. How could you do this to me? You abandoned me with nothing. Then, 10 minutes later, you thief. You stole my car. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Every message reeked of desperation, not love. She wasn't mourning Mish, was panicking over losing her safety net. Later that week, I got an email from the landlord asking about unpaid rent. I calmly forwarded proof that the lease was in her name. I moved out weeks ago. I wrote simply, "All responsibility now lies with the tenant." That's when the public meltdown began. Sophie's carefully crafted social media image, the sweet, struggling artist, the hopeless romantic, started to crack. She posted a long, dramatic caption about being betrayed by someone she trusted and claimed I had ruined her life. At first, her friends rallied around her, leaving comments filled with outrage and sympathy. But it didn't take long for cracks to appear. People started asking questions. Didn't he pay your rent? Didn't you share his cards? And then someone, probably one of her own friends, leaked screenshots of her bragging about finessing me out of money. The tide turned fast. Her comment section filled with hate. Overnight, she went from victim to villain. I should have felt vindicated, but all I felt was empty. Watching her implode online wasn't satisfying. It was just confirmation of how fake it had all been. Then came her final move. A post with a photo of her crying, mascara streaked down her face, captioned, "He took everything from even my car. I just wanted love." That's when I realized she wasn't just trying to save face, she was trying to rewrite the story entirely. And if she wanted to play that game, I had receipts the morning after her pity post went viral. I woke up to a storm of notifications, people tagging me, messaging me, asking for my side. I hadn't planned on going public, but when I saw Sophie's lies spreading, I knew staying silent would only let her play the victim. So I opened my laptop and posted a simple thread. No insults, no drama, just screenshots, the credit card statements, the messages where she promised to pay me back soon, the receipts for the resort she'd visited with that other guy. I even included the registration papers for the car, proof that it was legally mine. Each image spoke for itself. Within an hour, the comments exploded. "Bro, she really used you like a walking bank. She gaslit him and stole from him. What a queen of manipulation. Wow, this is next-level narcissism." Her friends went silent. Some deleted their old comments defending her. Others messaged me privately apologies, disbelief. Even a few confessions that they'd suspected her behavior for months. Then, Sophie posted again, this time a vague apology, saying she made mistakes but didn't deserve to be humiliated. But it was too late. The internet had turned on her. Her art page lost followers by the thousands, brand collaborations pulled out, and her reputation crumbled overnight. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. I wasn't yelling or begging or trying to prove anything. I just told the truth, and the truth did the rest. That night, I got one last message from her. "I made a mistake, but you didn't have to destroy me. Can we please talk?" I stared at it for a long time. Once, that voice had been my weakness. Now, it sounded like nothing. I didn't reply, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over yet. Sophie never apologized unless she wanted something, and I had a feeling I hadn't seen her final move. 2 days later, Sophie asked to meet in person. Her tone in the message was desperate, almost rehearsed. "Please, just one conversation. I need to make things right." Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part, the part that needed closure, agreed. We met at a small cafe near her old apartment, the same place we'd gone on our first date. Except this time, she looked different, pale, tired. The sparkle she used to weaponize was gone. When I sat down, she didn't smile. She just stared at her coffee, voice trembling. I lost everything, you know. My followers, my commissions, my apartment, even my friends. I nodded, but said nothing. She looked up, eyes glossy. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just scared. You made everything so easy to easy, and I took advantage. I hate myself for it." For a brief moment, I almost believed her. But then she added softly, "If we could just start over. I could fix this. I can change." That's when I realized it wasn't remorse. It was panic. She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted stability, the same comfort she'd drained out of me piece by piece. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder copies of the fraud reports, bank disputes, and signed statements. I slid them across the table. I already fixed it, Sophie. I forgave you not for you, because I refuse to let this define me anymore. Her face twisted. So that's it. You just get to walk away and feel superior. I stood, dropped a few bills for my coffee, and looked at her one last time. No, I get to walk away and finally feel free. As I left the cafe, she didn't call after me. She just sat there, staring at the empty seat across from her, like she finally realized she couldn't control the story anymore. It's been 6 months since that cafe meeting, and I still remember the look in her eyes, somewhere between regret and disbelief. But I haven't seen or heard from Sophie since. She stopped calling, stopped texting, stopped trying to manipulate her way back into my life. The silence has been healing. I live in a new apartment now. Smaller, quieter, but mine. I rebuilt my credit, paid off the debts she left behind, and finally started saving again. It's funny how peace doesn't feel exciting, just steady. I wake up without that heavy ache in my chest, without checking my phone, in fear of another crisis. Sometimes, I still catch glimpses of her online. A new account, a few hundred followers, posting about second chances and self-growth. I don't comment, don't engage. She's just another stranger now. But every time I see one of those posts, I remember the man I used to be, the one who thought love meant sacrifice, even when it bled you dry. Now I know better. Love isn't about fixing someone who refuses to change. It's about partnership, respect, and boundaries. It's about walking away when someone mistakes your kindness for weakness. A few weeks ago, I drove past that old cafe, the same one where we first met and where I last saw her. For a moment, I parked outside, just watching people go in and out, couples laughing, sharing coffees, making new memories. I realized I wasn't angry anymore, not even a little. She once used my money to buy luxury, to build a fantasy life that collapsed the moment truth touched it. But what she didn't realize was that her betrayal gave me something far more valuable. It gave me clarity, so no, I didn't lose everything. I lost her. And in doing so, I gained myself back. And that, I've learned, is the best kind of revenge piece.